Hello and welcome to the skating lesson. I'm Dave Lees.
And I'm Jonathan Byer. Hi, we color coordinated. We didn't even.
I think so. It's like the old days with Jenny. And what color are you wearing? Yes, this and that. We are going to be discussing everything going on in the skating world this week. Tons going on, lots to discuss. So if you are new here, please subscribe below. Remember to smash that like button. Jonathan, I feel like we've lived 1,000 years in the last week. There's been so much happening
in so many different ways in skating this way. Yeah.
And like I was inundated with skating in the best way at some points, and at some points in the worst way. But it was a week as usual. Yes.
Okay.
I mean, it's been a journey. Yes.
Did you happen to hang out with any of the Kwan family this week by chance?
Did yes. So I've wanted.
How is Danny? No.
Danny is great. No, I wanted to work with Karen for a while, and we've been very friendly for a long time. It's funny how I met Karen at. We were trying to remember which competition we met at, but we met in a bar.
Oh, how funny! Okay.
Yeah, and Karen came over to me, and I hadn't met her. I don't remember if this is before or after I interviewed Michelle. I honestly don't remember, but I'd have to I can't even, whatever. Anyway, the thing is that Karen, and it was when I was covering skating exclusively, and Karen came over to pick my brain about gymnastics.
Okay.
And I had known that Michelle's niece was a gymnast, but they were asking me about like how could they improve her gymnastics and like which gym should they move to, and like Jonathan, I was a couple vodkas in at this point. Okay. And I was like, Karen, do we need to get Danny Kwan in on this situation? Like, what are you not doing as a stage mother? Like, what is happening here? Okay.
Yeah.
And we went from there. Yes. She takes
and the rest is history. Well. Yeah.
She takes direction. We orchestrated gym changes and yes, okay.
How old are the kids now?
The older one is a sophomore at the University of Washington. She's on the gymnastics team. She did bars almost every meet last season, and we're going for bars and beam this year. Beam was really her event, but I think she broke her foot last season, and then she did bars. And then the other one's a dancer, like in the Abby Lee world, but like in a much better school.
Okay. Got it.
Lee's coming back with like an adult version of Dance Mom. We might need to audition. I'm just saying, you love a reality show experience. So yes.
I'll get my nieces involved.
Lee in a wheelchair yelling about you, about sickled feet. I mean, this has a lot of viral potential as far as and I feel like adults can take it, right? Who's gonna play?
Yeah.
They appreciate her for the campy figure that she is.
They know what they're getting into. Yeah.
Yes. Right.
No surprises at this point.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. No, so Karen is like, she's been through a lot in her life. You can Google her ex-husband, and she was also someone who reached out to me when John Coughlin committed suicide, and there was a lot of misplaced anger and campaigns by Delilah and friends going on. And
remember,
called me. I don't remember much of that weekend. It's like funny how things are a blur, but like I know where I was when Karen called, and she was explaining things and in situation. And then she was the last person that I talked to before I decided not to compete last year because of stuff that I was going through. So she has a real layer of like strength and depth underneath her, and she's a brilliant choreographer. And also, if you've ever paid attention to the kind of music choices that Michelle would pick on Instagram, or in the winter song that she did for Michelle, or really some of the different collaborations or other work that she did, I knew that she had a certain vision and a certain aesthetic. So, and I picked a piece of music that I thought, I'm skating to the Bootstraps cover of I Want to Dance with Somebody. And I knew that Karen would really be able to bring out that music. So,
because I had all but forgotten it was someone you were talking to, I thought, but the Michelle Rachmaninoff short program music was borrowed from a Karen program.
Yes.
That was originally Karen's music that she had chosen. Yeah.
So
excellent taste in music. You can just tell.
Excellent. She understands music. She understands edging, and she's phenomenal. I mean, we talked about using arms on different levels and different levels of movement in just a way that I've never talked about before, which part of that is because I've done so much Pilates and stroking over the last few years, but it's really like, I've really stuck with it. So my practices, we do 50% of the time of my practice is spent on skating skills, which is really antithetical to what most figure skaters do, because you think like, we got to get the levels, you got to get the jumps, you got to do the thing. But, and you were here when Renee was talking about this, right? Like that those skating skills allow you to move more efficiently so that you can jump better, so that everything else is easier.
Right.
And that's what's really made like the biggest difference in improving my skating over the last couple of years. So she was someone that I discussed that with, and she's a pusher.
I believe that. Yeah.
She's a real pusher.
Okay.
With a real sense of humor.
Okay.
You know, like Michelle's wonderful and great and fabulous, and she has that like secret inner drama that she comes out on her Instagram when she's in the helicopters, or playing Top Gun, or she's, you know, rollerblading with her daughter. Like she really knows how to create a mood and a scene and all of that, right? Karen is like hysterical and a real one. So we had a great time together, and yeah.
So do you start in a situation like that? So you had centered the music, all this sort of stuff. Yeah. Do you start off the ice, or do you just go right to the ice and just begin the journey?
Well, we live in a day of iPhones, right? So, and I've started posting clips of my skating and like working with it, and obviously she's seen stuff on Instagram. So she looked at everything, and we kind of discussed the elements and the order. And she had ideas, and we started like working together. So yes, it was on the ice, but there was a lot of back, as there are with most good choreographers. Will do
a lot of work done before you got to the ice.
Yeah, and like it really worked because Igor is super busy because they just had solo dance nationals coming up. So all the kids are having like extra lessons and peaking and all of that. And I wanted to get this program done earlier because I'm trying to move up a level, which means I have to skate 40 more seconds and all of that, which is
a long time, yeah.
Joke, and to have all the elements in place. So I really wanted time. And then like the program is so much harder than anything that I've done before. So it's going to take a long time to really
kind of get it in your body, right? Yeah. Yeah.
So like, I've never done a left outside counter and not from a swing roll. And what do we do? And she's like, yeah, we're doing it. We're like, okay, yes. Okay. We're moving along. Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
Good experience. And then Tim Gable came by, and they were talking about Lake Arrowhead and all of that stuff. So yeah, it was a great experience.
Totally.
She's just super talented. So, and you know, you could ask her, I mean, I totally waited for the right moment to be like, Karen, do we have to do that arm movement? Dick says you move your arms too much.
I remember that.
So did she. Okay, and that's why we love her. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So she really has like that like earthy but also dramatic flair to her. So
great. Yeah.
And she tells you nothing when you're doing about like what's going where. Shut up. You know. Okay. In the best way she's allowed to. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was just so funny because there were some viewers who were there on the ice as we were recording, which like didn't dawn on me until we were midway through the process. Like we did not think about this at all. I was like, oh, we're just going to another rink, gonna get it, and then
there's gonna be an audience. Yeah.
Like a little, not big. Yeah, but it's just like a different experience. It was like, whatever, you know.
Even it was a couple years ago when I decided to, I mean, nothing like obviously what you're doing. Many years ago, I had like really ugly single jumps and stuff like that. And I thought maybe I should get back on the ice again. And that's when I went to Skyring, like got my rental skates, and I'm just putzing around. But then people are like, oh, Jonathan, hi, like da 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 da. And I thought to myself, no, I don't want anyone to see me right now. Do you know what I mean? Like I need to be in absolute privacy while I like re-experiment with stuff. And then I never went back.
Okay. So I skate with this woman. Sometimes she comes in the mornings when I'm leaving, like we pass like ships of the night, right? And she's this fabulous woman named Susan, and she has her hair in a chignon, and she has the pearl earrings on, and she comes to the ring to do her ice dancing. And she was telling me that in New York, and if anyone has pictures of this, was there, knows information, please contact us. This sounds so fantastic. Okay. There was a brownstone between 73rd and 74th, where like the second floor of a brownstone was an ice dance studio that was made to look like a dance studio with mirrors and a bar, essentially. And you would like go there.
In there.
What?
They had an ice surface inside.
Of course, this person had money, right? So
like, yeah, give up a whole second floor of a brownstone in the lower 70s.
Yes.
Okay.
And you know this was for like the JoJo Starbuck types.
Right.
Dick Button and right?
Yeah.
The guy's name was Archie, I think she said. I mean, I wasn't when this was fantastic, but obviously, I feel like we need to be nostalgic for this brownstone that existed. I mean, why were we not there? We were there in our hearts, Jonathan, right?
Yeah, in fact, star. Yeah. Go hunting around that area and just see what I see. Yeah.
You think Dorothy went there?
Probably. I mean, again, that's what I always like when you see the cricket club, or I think like Arrowhead had it too. Like, why would you not have all those mirrors surrounding you to see like a dance studio every movement you're making?
Jonathan, I have ADHD, so that might be a little like
yeah, even in like a voice lesson when I'm like, oh, we're gonna look at the mouth in this moment, like I was like, all right, look at yourself, see what you need to see first, because I know you won't be looking at what I need you to until you've assessed how you look. Yeah, that was always me. Yeah.
So it was funny. I saw one of these things, I was reading about it, and they were talking about people with ADHD and eye contact when you're talking with them about something super serious, that they're usually not looking right at you. They're looking next to you to try to absorb what you're saying. And I thought that was super fascinating.
Interesting. Okay.
I have a friend, Sean, that like sends me a lot of stuff about the brain and how it works and all that. Yeah. So, and also the ice bath continues. Okay. So when I came back, my Pilates studio was one of the places that I went to like decide, like, is the shower going to be cold enough?
Right.
I missed it over the last 2 weeks. I wasn't feeling well a week ago, so I took a couple days off, and then I was so exhausted from getting my program that we had to like recharge.
Yeah.
Go into the office and stuff like that. Well, now the Pilates studio, turns out he's putting in ice baths, like in this like very fancy, like, I mean, he's very serious about Pilates. There are like signs around the studio that's like, keep Pilates real. And like, they are not for this McDonald'sization of like the club Pilates.
I gotcha. Yeah.
Fake teachers teaching fake teachers Pilates. Like, he is like classically trained. And
purist. Okay.
The purist about the Pilates in the best way. And the ice baths. So we love that for us. But I'm like,
okay.
Right. Like, let's get it done. Yeah. But just like a fascinating little
okay.
Which I heard about it from my chiropractor, who was like, I just went there and he's putting in ice baths. And, it's a whole little like
okay. It's a whole community. Yeah. It's a lifestyle. Okay.
Yes. But other news. We're just getting the important things out of the way.
Yes, of course.
Canada gets something before the rest of us, but I watched it. Sandra Bezic produced the best skating show of all time. I would consider Johnny Weir's docuseries, the first season, to be pretty fantastic, along with his
Sundance Channel one.
Was it Sundance? Yes. It was on, I think it was on Logo after that or whatever. Yes,
I remember that.
Like going back, and I was like, was it Stars? No, it's Sundance. Right. Yes.
Yeah.
It was one of those channels we didn't have. I think I downloaded it illegally back in the day.
Yeah.
Sorry, James Pellerino. Yes. So I watched it. It's 6 episodes with Carolyn Taylor, who is a comedian, and she had a sketch comic series called The Baroness Fun Sketch Show. She was from Second City, and it also involves the comedian Mae Martin. And it's the first time I've really seen a series just lean into how inherently queer and campy figure skating is in such a subtle way that is so extraordinarily satisfying. And it has an all-star cast.
What is the title?
I Have Nothing. And the reason it's called I Have Nothing is, and this is from the trailer, so I'm not giving anything away, is that there is this comedian who is obsessed with the Calgary Olympics, Katie Lang and Katarina Witt and the Jamaican bobsled team. And she's driving in her car in 2016, and the song I Have Nothing comes on the radio. Now, she's a comedian. She has no figure skating background. She has no dance background. We don't even know if she's a super fan because she doesn't know any of the terms, but it's unclear if she's playing up that she doesn't know the terms or if she doesn't know the terms. But it's hysterical that she doesn't like really know the terms, right? So she hears the song I Have Nothing and she's like, don't you just hear the jumps? You hear the jumps, right? Like in the song. And so she decides that she's going to book a venue and that she's going to choreograph what she calls a gold medal routine for this, you know, for a gold medal level skater. Meaning like Olympic level? Yes. Okay. Yes, you get it. Okay. And she did this in her stand-up routine, apparently for a really long time, and just kept like flirting with the audience that she was, I'm going to do it. And like, you see her on stage, like she's mimicking lifting people, and the audience is going nuts for this female comedian who's like 6 foot something. I don't know. They never tell us, right? Like she looks tall. Okay. Right. In the words of Deanna, she's tall. Okay. Got like these oversized sweaters, and you know, she talks about being a soft lumberjack. I mean, really, like, okay. And of course, Sandra, who co-produces the show with her, agrees to be her mentor. So then we get into all of Sandra's friends basically helping her learn how to skate.
This I remember from the trailer where it was like Katja Gordieva, and it was like, was Brian Orser there? Like
yes, Kurt Browning, Riku and Ruichi, Barb and Paul. So there are all of these skating cameos left and right, and it's so fantastic and so hilarious. It's so...
Because I follow Sandra on Instagram, and in her stories, she has been sharing like little snippets. And it does seem fun. I mean, the concept could be cringe, but the fact that it's with someone like Sandra and all of these legitimate people make it seem like actually it could be very good.
Yeah. I can't say much. I'm going to interview Carolyn with Sandra. And Carolyn really gets like that Sandra's a character quietly. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like, I was like, Sandra, this show really showed you that you're also a drag queen. And she was like, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's right. Yes. Okay. It really like has that energy to it. And it is so good. You don't want it to end. It's like, you're like, can we do more programs? But like obviously the whole genius is that she has no idea. Right. And if she continues to do it, then she'd start to have an idea if they keep bringing it back. And when does it air? So it's the 23rd. It's going to be on Crave in Canada. The thing is, the Crave in Canada would correlate to HBO in America, which would be perfect. So we need to get everyone watching this show. And the other thing is, I think that it has like a second audience because it's so obviously queer. Like a lesbian stand-up comic, and there's a non-binary best friend, and everyone is represented in a way, and represented, and they talk about gender representations in skating in a really interesting way. In the way of, you've ever like heard the theory that we're all in drag, right? Because we're all like wearing costumes and performing the part, right? So it's brilliant, and it's really fantastic. I want to hear Sasha Julin's thoughts on it. Oh yeah, right. Okay. Then we can call Oksana to get her thoughts about what Sasha. Yeah, her counterpoint. Yeah. You know, she has a lot to say about the Valieva trial coming up. You know, and what I love about Oksana, among the many things, right, is her relationship with you. Well, real cool they are. Yeah. You know, when I met her for the first time, like over the phone, right? Like the first time we like really chatted, it was right when the war started. And we had this like hour-long conversation, as they all are with her, which like you cover a variety of topics when you are I mean, we were talking about how Terry is like in Louis Vuitton and how much better Cher looks than Madonna, but she thinks it's genetics because Cher's mother looks great, right? And we're just, you know.
Yeah, when I look at Cher, I think she must have good genetics. Okay.
Listen, you cover a variety of topics, all of which you want her take on, obviously, right? And she is aware that when she won, skating was popular, right? And that
she won at the right time, didn't she?
And she tracks that maybe the ratings aren't great now. Yeah, right?
I mean, she was handed a US audience like crazy. I mean, and it was fascinating because one could have thought, oh, if you upset the story of Nancy winning, do you have this place in North America? North America fell in love with her right away. She was such a part of that boom. Yeah.
And she has like the correct opinions on skating, which everyone from that era does. They will all remind you, as Bruno Marcotte said to me today, they'll all remind you that they were in skating when it was good. And I'm like, yes, and they're right. And he's like, well, it's more complicated now. It's more difficult. I'm like, yeah, and I'd rather watch that.
Right. Right. Not to a detriment, not to the fault of the skaters today, but the culture of it.
Like, but look at Patrick Chan's program and look at Kurt. And I'm like, yeah, and as great as Patrick is, and he is.
Imagine if he didn't have to do an IJS program and Patrick was skating then. It would have been phenomenal.
And I'd rather watch Kurt do Casablanca.
Yeah.
He's like, well, they had personality. I'm like, yes, and that's why they were famous and compelling and popular and
had fan bases. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've started working on a little pet project about what happened to skating within the US and within, like looking at it at two different levels. One is how are the coaches and athletes doing now? And then the other is like, how come US figure skating had such a legacy of everything, right? And people will just say oversaturate. No, but it goes back. Like, why did US figure skating vote against its own interests? And, you know, I've been talking to people about how to become a judge, you have to agree with other people, right? And it's volunteer based. You get promoted by this group think, right? Well, the same thing happens is that when you want to go from US figure skating to the ISU or the ISU to the IOC, it's also about agreeing with the other people, not about standing for your convictions. And that's how
we were even talking to judges at some point, or when we were talking about when we were on Patreon judging the older events and stuff like that, where something is so blatantly obvious and yet everyone is either scoring too low or too high together. And it was, no one was really allowed to have the guts to give the right mark, because instead of the right mark, the priority was giving the median mark.
Yes, because they don't differentiate components or judge them correctly. And so.
Yeah. Vanessa Riley could not exist today or climb today.
How is she
called it how it was.
She here? How is she? She's great. Okay.
Look at her. She's definitely not wearing white pants, because we've established she does not like white pants.
She does not like white pants, and we love her for that, okay? You might not have agreed with her, but, you know, she had convictions.
And she had a great point, because she was like, I may have scored Alexander Fadea low for those pants, but in the ordinals, everything still worked out as it should have. So there you go.
Oh, you, Vanessa. Okay.
Love it.
Is she that one a-hole who gave Michelle the 5'9" at 98 Nationals? Like, don't you want to know who that person was?
And how foolish do you feel now? Yeah.
Oh, no. Do you think that they felt foolish, or do you think that they're one of those who like doesn't feel foolish and is going to rant to you?
Oh, got it. Understood.
And were they the same person as in the short program? You know, we really need that broken. Skatingschools.com. You're brilliant. Do the stuff we really want to know. Go back.
Yeah.
He's great. So love that for him, right? Yes. So yes. And Brooke Tufts won the solo dance nationals. And I heard
the way is its own upset, not based on the skating, but based on the trajectory of how the competitions were going. She was sort of consistently second. So what a nice outcome for her.
And you know, Kristen's known for being an ice queen, right? Like if I talk to like Marie France or Sylvia Fontana, they're like, no, she wasn't friendly. No, no, never has been. She cried, Igor cried over yes, they were crying.
Beautiful.
And a rivalry. One of Brooke's main competitors, from a couple reports, allegedly, was in the lobby being like, I don't want to hear her voice. So we have tension at the solo dance nationals. Yeah, which is what you need, right? Isn't that what we want?
The competition, yeah.
Oh, they were at it. Remember, like, Lucas loves a high score. In his posts about his win, he was very Evan Lysacek. And so much so that, like, it's so intense now that, like, Steven, his coach, because, like, he's coached by Marina, but he's coached by Steven. Okay. Like, it's like that they used to say that Raphael would have a salad lesson where he'd eat his salad while certain people was. It's like that. Okay. Yes.
Got it.
So, like, Marina's coaching him, but it's, listen.
He's actually more of a meat and potatoes guy, personally, but that's
he's not the Carhartts who, like, bought 3 Russians at once. Okay, where the father's, like, on the Forbes list. Like, this is not that. Okay, like, I think Marina's showing up and going to Azerbaijan or the Dennis 10 Memorial for them. She didn't go to solo dance nationals. You know how the Russians roll. They, like Raphael, they let you know your priority. Mariah Bell, not a Raphael priority. Ilia Malinin, yeah, he'll go by the boards for that.
Yeah,
Raphael is. We're not saying it's right. We're not saying it's emotionally healthy, but we're saying it's what he does. And he doesn't apologize for it. Yes. So anyway, it was very close in the free. And it was like 2 points. So it was, yeah, they kept it really close.
he really got ahead because of the rhythm dance, right? Like she had a buffer there. Yeah. But which I think is her. I prefer the rhythm dance, actually. I really like her rhythm dance this season.
I do as well. I wasn't on board with Riverdance, but I said my piece early, and then we prayed for the rest of the season that this was going to work out. So, and
it did.
She was great. Apparently, they were all cheering, and he skated well, so they both skated well.
That's the way you want that to go, isn't it? Yeah.
But of course. Okay, let's cut the shit. Kristen and Igor asked me to help boost solo dance. That's why I started posting stuff. Okay, obvious solo dance. They were all trying to get this internationally, right? Although some of the solo dancers, you know, they have Sean Redstad of the ISU hasn't told them about the rules yet. So we're still waiting for the rules. It's supposed to be October 1st now to make this international, keeps getting pushed back. But you know, he was very late getting the regular ice dancers their rules for this year. They came the latest this year. So maybe Sean's just proofreading. You know, those ISU things aren't often written in the best ink.
Waffling on that one point. Yeah, okay.
Really going over that at Terry monitoring for Diana. You know, I don't know. That was, yes, not morally dubious or questionable at all. But we love that for him, okay? A gay who puts people in power. Go to think, right? Like, yes. So anyway, as we move along, yeah, they're supposed to go internationally now. So of course they're going to do the 80s. But then Brooke goes, and because Lucas is skating to Scheherazade. Oh, and his coach, Kristen walked in as the coach goes, Lucas is going to drop the bomb tomorrow. Apparently they both dropped bomb. Listen, we love the intensity of solo dance nationals. Like, who knew it needed a documentary camera and the whole thing?
Right? Okay.
What did Kristen say? Because, like, Jonathan, she is a force.
Okay. Clearly, and always has been.
Oh, she's like an ice bath of water being poured on you. Okay. Like, that's Kristen, all right? Igor is the more, you know, softer one, right? Good.
Yeah, okay.
Good. Yes.
Okay. Got it.
But you love her, like you like an ice bath. You know, she's prickly, all right? She's prickly, okay? Yeah. She's an ice dance female, all right?
Destined to become a caller. That's exactly that right personality.
Best friends with Tim Gable. They see the world very similarly. What did Frank call, like, Tim Gable a small yappy dog? He compared him to when we interviewed him. You know, he wasn't wrong, okay?
Yeah, okay. And Tim knows that.
He called, so Brooke is talking about programs for next year. And she's like, I want to do Carmen. And I was like, are you Annabelle Morozov? I know that you grew up with her at the Ice House, but Annabelle did that when she was 5, and her stepmother was practically the same age as her. I mean, she had more things to put into that program because her father has no moral compass. Like, Brooke, this isn't your music. It's not you, Brooke. It's not you.
Well, and from then a Riverdance to a Carmen, I think she's more interesting than sort of those sort of more obvious choices.
Her mother contacted me to ask me to give her a pep talk. I sent it to you.
Yes, yes. Who were you sending? Was it back in the day when you and Jenny were sending Angela Wang pep talks?
Yes, yes.
I remember that. Yeah.
It invoked that kind of energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, it was a little, we know Brooke better, you know. The depth of the pep talk is really the depth of your relationship.
Okay.
You know, we were just tired of her not believing in herself going out there in this program. Come on now, let's get it done, right? So we could do cameo versions of these. These we could, yes.
Smart.
Yeah. So I was like, Carmen? No. The mother's like, no, we're not doing Carmen. Don't worry. This is not happening. No, the mother who doesn't go to her competitions because she's too much of a stage mother. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. You know. Love that for her. Yes. So who knew solo dance nationals was so interesting?
We did.
But like, don't you want to watch them compete against each other again? And then I have to tell you, there's a boy in Canada who's in the wrong discipline. Has YouTube recommended that Anthony Paradis for you? And then David Wilson post him with the laying on the ice and the pearl necklace and the...
No, I've not seen this.
Stop what you are doing. I don't know that he can jump.
Okay. My favorite...
to compete with Ilia Malinin.
Okay.
I don't know that that's the best investment of his time. This solo dance thing, that could be interesting. Yeah. With someone like that, it could be a star.
Yeah. Okay. That's why it needs to be
all of the drama that this discipline needs. And it's probably all the drama that a caller like Kristen Fraser wouldn't want, but that the viewers want, right? Because she's best friends with Tim Gable. They see the world like this. We see the world like, yes, queen, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I'm intrigued. I think a lot of people are so perfect for this discipline that are currently trying to force something else to happen right now, which is why I long for the day we can see a real international circuit for it.
Jonathan, there are people that prefer the IJS and think that's the better skating. There are people that prefer the 6-0. And what I was going to say is what we love about Oksana is that she'll randomly be talking about why Russian skating is trash. And then she'll be like, or current skating, and then she'll be like, but remember Dorothy Hamill and Peggy Fleming? And you're like, yes, Oksana, yes, live.
Yes, me too. Yeah.
Yes, okay, yes. Is Dorothy doing the inside edge? Yes, okay, yes. We love that for her. I wonder how Dorothy's safari is going. She's on a safari in Africa for like 3 weeks, okay, with her husband. Yes, we love that for her, right?
Love.
She should be doing, right? Maybe she can.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. And then Karen goes, you know, Peggy's a little snarky. And I was like, we know.
We know that because we talked about that whole documentary that. Yeah.
We love that about Peggy. Yes. Okay.
And then some of the viewers were going and then watching it, and then they were writing in the comments. They were like, "Whoa, we thought you were exaggerating. Like this is whoa."
Yeah. There are even the hints of it in Rise, the documentary.
Oh yes. How
Peggy, she's talking about the Westerfelds, and she's talking about how they were, they were very unproportionate, and she's standing here like,
oh dear.
It's okay. Yana Rudkovskaya said that Valieva needed.
I was just wondering if that was the transition we should take. She Peggy Fleming did. Yeah.
Did Peggy ever say that on TV? I mean, she implied it, but did she actually?
Well, even it was funny. Also, after you were posting the Debbie and the Shepard interview, I went back and I rewatched all of Calgary, like earlier in this week, And gosh, I just want to give Debbie Thomas like a best dressed at any Olympics award because she looked gorgeous in that sweater and the figures.
Yes.
And remembering it was the late 80s, which was a little bit of a tragic time, both on the ice and off the ice for fashion. She looked killer in that jumpsuit. And man, was that a classy version of that long program dress.
How would your sweater look if you were in 88? Like, what would it look like? What in the Frank
Exactly like Debbie. I would have worn exactly what.
Oh.
Yeah.
So satisfying. Like, I mean, oh, what an era. Jonathan, I would go nuts with the compulsory, I like a sweater.
And it's the perfect, and then maybe you could switch one for each figure you had to do.
Yes, right? You have all that time to kill.
Yeah, yeah. But wait, why did I bring that up? What were we talking about? Something about
Sandra for learning with her. I mean,
so when I watched the Liz Manley performance,
yes,
they're full blown. They're like, well, she lost weight, so she's doing better this year. And I was like, I just cannot. It's horrifying.
When you rewatch Karen in 96, 97, they list the height and weight.
Yeah.
I forget when they stopped that. It must have been like later 90s.
I didn't realize it went as far as that. I mean, I remember when we were watching all those old Linda era clips from like late 70s, they were always announcing the height and weight like with the broadcast. And I was like, these are not wrestlers in a weight.
Race horses, right? Like, oh yeah. They'd always be with the gymnast constantly 4'6" and 72 pounds. You're like,
not necessary to my enjoyment or understanding of what's happening. Sorry, yeah. But Yana just went for the jugular with that.
She really did.
Yeah.
Overall, I have to say, what has Sateri been doing over the summer? I've never seen her skaters look so unprepared for a test skates. And she was there this summer. She was in the US all last summer. She must be, listen, they say when you cut off supply and personalities don't do well. What's that?
Yeah.
We're awful. Like,
they definitely all watered down the technical content, which part did surprise me.
You think Valieva's going to make it through the season? I mean, after they throw her under the bus for the CAS.
Yeah.
Who cares if she's banned or not? She's never getting out of that country if they have 3 spots. I mean, that's just like a fact, like that's.
I was even more shocked to see Maya Chromich there.
Did you miss her?
I didn't know where she was or if she was returning. So I was just merely surprised to have seen her there.
But when you didn't see her last year, did you remember that you weren't seeing her?
Oh, yes. She was very memorable to me as a presence during that Olympic season.
Well, the Olympic season, yes. But somehow last year, they never mentioned her.
Right. Yeah. Very happy. Make of who?
Her. Are they going to ship her off to another country? I mean, I think we need to start Kostornaia, go to Hungary, right? This is what we need, okay?
Yeah, it was
Deanna.
Who I was surprised by was Sophia M. Yeah, she kind of had a lovely free skate, I thought.
Jonathan, the Pilgrims of a Long Journey, Tessa Virtue music mixed with Wicked Game. Like, why? And she just has no je ne sais quoi about her.
Yeah.
I think it's the chin and this. Like, her neck isn't cold, in the words of Natalia Dubova.
It was less clear than I would have anticipated. There was, in general, if I have to say something positive, I would say that it was less clutter overall than we could have seen or have seen in the past.
Did I tell you about Michael Shanley buzzed dialing me from a work happy hour? They were having sangria.
No. What happened? What did he say?
You've met him before, right? How would you describe? Like, very polite, very
more on the quiet side, but yeah.
Very proper.
Yeah.
We've been watching Tara and Michelle on Patreon. And if you haven't been there, you've been missing out. And he's been, we were watching the 97 Champion Series final and getting into Olga Markova as one does in the leopard print with the
the
fishnet black tights over the skate. Yes, right. Yeah. Michelle loses one competition. They're talking like the sky is falling. Yes, right. He calls me. He's like, how did they ever think that Tara was a comparable to Michelle? I mean, she didn't have any line. Look at her line. There was no body line there. Her spirals out to the side.
Sandra.
And I was like, I thought he was just reading car magazines all those years. Like, who knew that he was like paying attention?
Amazing.
He's like, yes, Tara competed like a demon, like Carol Heiss. But where was the line? And I was like, whoa. Like, I didn't know to laugh.
Monster.
Apparently I'm a very good teacher. You know, I always get that on like the Myers-Briggs. I am the teacher is what I get. Who knew? I mean, who knew? It's okay. Now with the like my new series about skating, I'm teaching Russia how to have taste, right? This is what we're doing. This is,
Yeah.
They too can call Karen Kwan. Yes, they can.
But
you know what I love about Russian? Anytime they could do like a generic, unnecessary Michael Jackson program. Like, was Petrosian's more hideous than Zhelena's, or was Zhelena's more hideous than Petrosian's?
After we saw what can be so brilliant about it in like Junhwa's program last year, like they can be very effective. Petrosian's short program here was, again, as you so smartly called it many years ago, it was Halloween costume.
Yes. And what I think about this is, look, if Michael Jackson is done super well, you can compartmentalize and be like, it could be like you're going to see that like Kenny Ortega film about his last concert and be like, he wasn't having a doctor give him Demerol after he did all those things to those children when we saw him in the trees talking about like sleeping in bed with kids. No, that didn't happen, right? We didn't watch Leaving Neverland. Like, this is really, he's a genius and a visionary. But when you see bad Michael Jackson, like Halloween, and I don't know which one was worse because they were both god-awful. And the one did the music that only Oksana skated to. And like that was in the closet, like, wow, like they really tried hard to suck that badly in that program. Like it took a lot. And like I get Zhelena has zero artistic ability in a way that's very reminiscent of Miki Ando. You can notice because the back is rigid. A back, when someone is musical, usually it like bends or shifts or like they get into the ramrod straight, as though there was some sort of a surgery, right? It was awful. But Petrosian doesn't have any skating skills or really the jump technique with the wrap.
So she went for the quad flip twice in the free skate.
That was a choice.
Yeah. Kind of landed the first one, not the second one. And in that first one, what's interesting is she does that exact same sort of tick thing that Kostornaia does. And I don't know what that is, but it's certainly not aesthetically pleasing. That's for sure. Wait, say
I've worked on it for a long time.
Okay.
It's not my favorite, but you're correct. You are correct.
Okay.
Because Karen was like, are you going to do the flip first? And I was like, yeah, but I don't like doing it. And she's like, is it hard for you? I'm like, no, it's ugly. I just don't like it. I've been working on it, but if I spend any amount of time where I don't focus on stretching the leg and keep, it's just like my leg and quad muscle like wants to bend. I'm an edge jumper. You're a toe jumper or an edge jumper. You're one or the other. It's, rarely are people both, right? In equal way where you are as naturally one versus the other. So, It's so interesting because all of my favorite skaters were toe jumpers growing up. Christy, Michelle. Although Michelle had a good sow and double axel, that loop was...
Right. Always on the,
So was Christy's. I mean,
Yeah.
Sow, I mean.
Tricky. What I was also surprised by was Tuktamisheva was taking it really easy here as well, technically. I don't know if she's feeling tired.
It looked like, okay, let's cut. Should we be honest?
I mean, the packaging in the short program was alarming.
They were in like Mexico for a while doing things, or where were they doing their camp? Wherever, who cares? It looks like they're all being paid by Putin. I mean, the money trickles down from Putin eventually to Channel One, right? They're all being paid to keep competing for propaganda purposes, right? Tarasov Morozov pieced out.
Right.
Misheva, I don't know that she has more to give. And at least this early in the season, like maybe if she could do the Michelle Kwan 2 competitions at the end of the year,
right,
we'd be fine. I mean, one year Michelle gave us Skate America because they paid her $250,000.
I'd go, yeah.
The next 2 years she didn't, right? Like, yeah, it looks like Tukimich was at that point, right? Where she's tired, okay?
Yeah.
Almost, I mean, Valieva, like she was training.
Yeah.
And we saw glimpses that it was going that way as soon as last season ended. And
right.
Tukimisheva's looked like that too.
Yeah.
They look like they don't have the influx of stars coming up for whatever reason. And
well, because like even in like a Petrosian, like who again is able to squeak out one quad flip here. But like Akachieva, I don't know. As a performer,
she looked taller. There's no face and no jumps. So,
and no, I really thought with the junior, like 3-4 years ago, when she was like bursting on the scene, I was like, oh, this could be the one. But the joy and the energy doesn't seem to have carried through. And I need that when I watch skating.
They all look like we're ready for the next crop.
Yeah.
It's really wild. And I think it's because they didn't have the motivation of ever competing internationally. And they're losing it. And you kind of think like you can fake it for 1 year, but can you fake it for 2? For something like Tukimisheva, this looks like a paycheck.
I mean, this was one of like the biggest productions of this event I think I've seen. Because I remember in the past, like back when Medvedeva did like the cartwheel and slip during the Cirque du Soleil, like those test skates had a much more informal vibe. But these with like the big video promos and they're running out with the camera following them and all this stuff, it was a big spectacle.
But let me tell you, will you rewatch any of these? But how many times did you rewatch her missing that cartwheel?
No. I know.
It was like,
remember, they used to come out sort of in practice wear, a lot of them, to do it. And this was very clearly designed to be a fanfare event.
I just found that so many of them, I didn't see any difference between Mishina and Galyamov and Boykova and Kozlovsky. And I know that they got their programs with their previous coaches, but to me, there was nothing inherently different. And usually Mishina and Galyamov have so much character to their performances. I mean, come on, the Elvis program, and this was really generic.
Well, the music to me falls flat, not just because it's like a Beethoven remix or whatever is happening. There was so much classical music remix stuff happening here between Carmen's and Beethoven, and oh my God, the Liszt, Liebestraum, like there was some really upsetting moments here. But to me, it doesn't maximize their energy that kind of makes them special. And those sows, I mean, it was interesting because we saw them playing around with such difficult solo jump content. Wasn't that just in the spring? They were doing dances and all this sort of stuff. That went away here. And actually, Boykova and Kozlovsky looked a little bit better with their triple double axel thing. They looked a little more steady to me than Mishina Galyamov did.
Did they not like invest as much in like the pharmacological preparation for this competition? Like they really looked not in their typical shape as they do at other times at the Russian test skates. And yeah, like is that being diverted for the war? It looked
what I can say
lacking passion, lacking what do we say? Energy, momentum, competitive forcefulness. They looked apathetic, all of them.
What I will say, because having watched like the Kostornaia programs, where I have to say, like you were like, all right, this looks like she's figuring it out. Like, do you know what I mean? This looks like someone that's new at this. But like there was a point when they did, I think it was a throw triple Lutz, where I'm pretty sure she just did a triple Lutz and he just pretended to hold her on the waist and then let go. I was like, was he like, she knows how to do a triple Lutz, I'll just hold my hands here and let go. The Boykova throws, which in the past have sometimes gotten clumsy with their timing for a while, that we were talking to Alena about, they were pretty solid and pretty beautiful.
I mean, I think they have potential. Okay. Look, it's campy. All of skating is campy. It's kitschy. They're coming into their own, but they held their own better than I thought they might. I was not surprised by the small mistakes.
You're talking about Kostornaia now.
Yeah, but we just saw them do that 4 seasons program, which was lovely. They gave us the most stereotypical garbage program in the free. What was that? That was hideous. I thought an ad came on in the middle of the program. Someone else thought the same thing, texting me.
Well, and it's interesting, like, again, not having skated pairs, but the biggest noticeable thing to me, you expect maybe the throws will have a clunky landing or something like that, or it might be a slightly crashy landing on the twist. There is so much space between them.
Yeah.
They're on opposite ends of the rink practically. That was unusual. And some of the lifts, you're like, okay, I see
really?
Too. Yeah.
I don't think that the free shows off what makes them so special, which we could see in the 4 seasons program.
Right.
The 4 seasons program had all of the character and the poses, and like it was like Tiffany Stiegler doing pairs in Russia. Like, I don't know, like it just like had her magic, and this free doesn't. And let's be honest, no one's watching him. Are you watching him? Do you know? Would you know what Georgy Kunitsa looked like if Alena Kostornaia wasn't with him in the same photo?
No, of course not.
Of course, right? No.
But it's interesting because I
think I could pick out Dima Kozlovsky without Boyko. I think
I can, because he does have a distinctive look to him. Yeah.
Like I'm invested enough.
And I can still see him in like the gun holster and the silver shirt. That's how I see him.
You know who Samarin or Shevchenko were if you were just like walking down the street in New York City and they were there?
No.
Like I think I might be like, they look familiar.
Yeah. Did we go to school together? Yeah.
Like they don't perform and we don't look at their face anyway. Like it's like all jumps.
But I mean, I was watching him because I anticipated her solo jumps were going to be absolutely fine. So I was more clued into his, but of course they took turns having issues with the solo jumps here. But of course, doing flips and Lutz and all this sort of stuff. I mean, they're doing what they can, but just looked, raw.
So like Russia saying that Kamila Valieva should do the Black Panther. Do they try to be like inappropriate for attention?
I think so. Don't you think it's intentionally provocative?
I think so. At this point, the fact that she did that, like, I don't think, because the fans will be like, how dare you? She's a teenager. I think it's on purpose at this point.
I think they know. Yeah.
I think that they're not only like a racist culture, but they're proud of it, right? Like they're just like, yeah.
About it, that's for sure, in some sense. Yeah.
It's something. It's when she's rolling on the ice at the end of that program, I mean,
cat sound. Yeah.
It does. Remember that she was an alien who was like born to skate, and I don't know, she looks pretty diminished like all the rest. The other day I was describing them as like when they are used up by a Terry and that training, like think about it, Yuka Sato today skates as beautifully as she did when she won the Worlds, if not more. Dorothy Hamill skated as beautifully in 1997 as anything you've ever seen in your life. When you see Zhenya or Zagitova, Valieva now, it would be like if you turned on a computer from 1994 to 1996 and tried to upload a video to YouTube. Good luck, right? That's how it looks like when they're doing a crossover.
Yeah. But remember, Medvedeva was even...
But Yonova, who just had to throw her arms around because she couldn't do anything else, right? Like,
but when she went to the cricket club, she was saying she was floored by the skating skill exercises and the edge classes, because she was like, I've never seen people move so fast from one push. and just like keep going. It's just not their emphasis at all, it would seem.
Yeah, we need to get Alyssa Cisney on to talk to you about this because she will go in.
Okay. Okay.
So polite and so shady in the best way about it.
Okay.
Like, yeah, it would be really great if the Russian ladies learned to skate on an edge. I mean, it would really help their overall quality.
Yeah. And again, that's not, I think, a problem that the skaters are having as much as it's a problem that the teams training them are having.
Right. But if you see a Terry skate in the show.
Yeah, it does seem interesting. Again, we know Tracy Wilson, ice dancer, she's going to come with.
Okay. Galina's skaters had decent figures, right? And that shows you what a genius she is, right? Because like, she was a trolley bus driver in Kharkiv, which like everyone knows who takes from her, but like you're not allowed to like discuss.
Go there, yeah.
Like, and we all know it because like the old guy who like taught her how to coach was like at the rink and like, you know, yes.
Interesting.
Koprov, right? So like, and you just like, and then you think like, how did Galina teach them how to do the figures like that? Is she like, how did she learn like the body alignment like that? Like what? It's like Bella Caroli, but like on steroids, right? If you're teaching, because like they'll tell you, no, she was good at teaching the figures, and you're like, okay, yeah, right. But then also you're like, when she was driving that trolley bus, like, did they have to like put tokens in? Did she yell at people to like stop talking or like just sit your ass down?
Probably. Yeah.
Sit.
Yeah. Okay.
Trolley bus driver. Iconic. Okay, like, come on.
Trolley bus drivers, this is not a transition at all. But where we're talking about where some of like the
bing, bing, bing goes the trolley, and ding, ding, ding goes the trolley.
The men here, like, I don't, compared to like some of these younger women, female skaters, that are sort of like
looking female skaters, yes, okay, yeah.
They keep hanging around these guys. That it's still Moselov and Aliev and Semenenko and all of
Ravyuk, even at this point.
Yeah, it was
fantastic. Like, oh, give it up. They're getting that money from Putin. What else are they going to do? Fight in the war?
Right. I mean, I have to say, I kind of liked Mark's bullfighting program because it was like,
what do you like about it?
It's kind of into it. You know, it was just subtle enough, but like just enough. I don't know. I was a kind of a fan of the program. The one I was disappointed with was Peter, who seemed at diminished capacity here. I don't know if he has been injured or what has happened, but he was clearly taking it real easy. Makaryatov still throwing out those quads. I don't know how. Semenenko's still throwing out those quads. I don't know how. Aliev's still looking beautiful in the programs and just sort of like, I don't know. He looks like a French man when he jumps sometimes. I was trying to think who else really stuck out. Moselov was still there, struggling. Yeah, it's a fascinating lineup. I would be intrigued. Everyone might be upset. I'm not saying that they should be competing right now. It would be interesting if they were competing right now, who would be falling and where. Because I think actually
soon find out, right? This is
it's fascinating. The thing I wanted to talk to you about was Stepanova and Buchan.
Yes.
Who, in the rhythm dance, even though she's wearing like a bikini top or whatever, they're doing the Bobby McFerrin "Don't Worry, Be Happy." And at first I thought, you know what? I'm here for it because it's not what everyone else is doing. I view this like a problematic, limited rhythm dance season, and I thought they had found a good solution, and then they threw it all out the minute the MC hammer came on.
Don't you love that about Russia though? Like, why would you ever put those two pieces of music together? What in the at least Lynn Garcia, whatever, Red Violin, Birdie, would you put those pieces of music together? Who signed off on this?
She was in a very like tropical infused looking costume that then when the MC hammer came on, I was like, I got nothing here. I was kind of trying to help you out here. I've always kind of had a soft spot in my heart for them, but I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And it looked like a bit of the free dance, now that there was Julin, looked like he's just using the Vicky Nicky formula and putting it up.
Do you remember Who was the one that took meldonium? Shevetsky gave it to her.
Kobrova.
Kobrova, Soloviev. Remember when he just changed the music but not the choreography?
Oh yeah.
But like, this is someone who himself was the most beautiful skater, and he was supposedly choreographed.
The artistry of it, committed to the programming of it. In the hoods, remember we did the
Sandra, who didn't understand. Yes, with all of her.
She's like, I don't get it, but they seem to like it. Yeah.
So Sandra has an arc, and I have nothing. Early episodes, snarky Sandra.
Okay.
She's a little nervous that people are going to think she's really that mean.
Oh. Well, I remember some people thinking she was kind of mean when she was a commentator, but I thought she was just sort of like stating opinions in matter-of-fact ways. I did not find her mean. I found her the only one being really insightful when she was a commentator.
Yes. And I used to like that they did all of the World Pro in one day, so they would get tired and annoyed when they were doing it.
And then, like they would say, right, those men's events, they'd be ending at like midnight.
Yes.
Everyone is exhausted. Yeah.
Remember one year she was not having Rudy Galindo. She was just not having it. And you know, she choreographed all of the, but okay, so we were watching 97 Skate America. We remembered reading Christine Brennan's book, you know, icon legend, right? Do you remember that Georgy Longman? His name is like spelled like Jer, but it's Georgy Longman. Said something in Skate America. She quoted it in his book, and I don't know if he wrote it in the New York Times, but I was imagining if Twitter was around today, they would try to come for him, and at the same time, accurate and hilarious.
What did he say?
Do you remember like I mean, now we see ugly costumes all the time, right? But the first time we saw the Tara Lipinski Anastasia program with the juxtaposition of the Michelle Kwan Rachmaninoff, the whole press room was having a Michael Shanley moment, right?
Okay.
And he said that she looked like, to quote her costume, he says, "It's my first communion and I intend to yodel." That is what he said that her dress looked like.
Oh my God.
But then...
That would have been the tweet that went viral. Yeah.
I know. Can you imagine the fake outrage about that?
Yeah. And a great deal of support for it.
Yeah. Yes. Right. Yes. Yes. So I sent it to Sandra, because I sent it to Christine just to give her the quote, and she was like, Georgy Longman, 1997, Skate America. She wrote back in like 20 seconds. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
So Sandra goes, "Oh, I loved Georgy." And she was like, you know, he blasted me in Scott. My mother hated it, but I loved it, right? And he goes,
because their commentary, or
so this is about the 2002 Olympics. The sisters Linda Harris and Debbie Safas completed our sofa panel on Tuesday night for the women's short program. We handed out marks like parking tickets. The Chinese food got a 5.9 for presentation. Sandra Bezic and Scott Hamilton each got a residual 7/10 deduction for their overwrought announcing performances in the pairs competition. If you want to play Blanche Dubois, do it on Broadway, not on NBC.
But of course Sandra would be with that. She'd be like, yeah, that's funny. I get, yeah. Yeah, that's funny. She needed to be commentating for the autumn class. That's what she needed to be doing to make that more palatable.
Classic.
It was a kind of a tough watch for me. Is that okay to say?
Real tough watch.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't get why the Japanese pair didn't withdraw.
Maybe I would have advised them.
Maybe you would have?
Yeah.
Jonathan, I think she did a 2.5 throw. And someone's like, would you call the throw under rotated? And I was like, it was clearly a 2.5. Like, yeah. I don't know. Like,
yeah. Things just looked
like her legs were crossed. It was as though she stopped 2.5 rotations.
Was something going on?
No, I don't know. Bruno's like, we didn't have enough training time, which I don't get because they had all summer and I mean, maybe they did too many shows. I don't know. It seems, I've talked to him a couple times this week. It seems like the real is that it's self-imposed pressure. And I was like, Bruno, Alexa retired. They have, the Italians are doing the same program as last year with 0 transitions.
The world loves them. They're all rooting for them. Yeah.
All they had to do was pick an interesting piece of music. Well, Ruichi hates the short program music, as he should, because it's
correct. Yeah.
Truly awful.
For me, they were both misses.
So Bruno's like, Dave, you know his laugh. I'm asking you as a friend. You know you have taste in music. You know, and I don't know why I'm doing Igor for Bruno. Anyway,
voice, yeah.
He was like, "Can you come up with music ideas?" Yes, right. Like we gave him like good shit. Okay.
What vibe? To me, the vibe is like up and effervescent and joy.
I was like, can we do like romantic? Like, yeah, sure, why not? All right. Dave, I think the music you gave is too complicated. I mean, they're gonna need time to do it. I think I'm gonna give them Sweet Caroline. And you know what I said to him? Bruno, you can't help Canadians. You just can't. You just can't. You're a Canadian who likes the IJS. I can't. Like, I don't know. They're not
really doing that, are they?
No, because they said no. He wanted it. They said no.
Good for them.
I said this to his face. He knew my reaction, by the way.
No.
This is, if you read Dorothy Hamill's book, when she tells Sandra Bezic that she wanted to come back after pregnancy, Sandra goes, why'd you want to do that?
Yeah.
Why? But when he was like, Sweet Caroline, I was like,
no.
What? No.
Absolutely not. Did they ever skate it?
Like, what? Like, no.
White people at a karaoke night. Like, that's terrible. It's just not right.
You know, he and Megan always used to go to Champs Camp and then tell me, no, I think this team is going to win this year. And I'd be like, and it would be like when Chalk and Bates were against Hubble and Donahue and this one and that one. I'd be like, what? And I would file that over there. And you know what? That's where it belonged. Okay. It was never accurate. You have to know who's telling you the information. Okay. Sometimes it's Ted, right? And what I love about Ted Barton, and this is where Canadians, this is why they're annoying even in their abuse culture. They all implied that something happened at a rink that he may happen to work at and maybe he had knowledge of, but they never named it explicitly. So it's like all this innuendo that was going on all summer, but you can't really say that he knew anything because, you know, anyone knows any names, right?
Yeah.
Mark Henready agreed with our assessment that he is a pleaser and will try. But he said Belinda doesn't give a shit, and that's why she's great. You know,
and this is also Mark joining into the junior scene, and I think he's doing. And I'm glad to have him there as sort of a counterpoint.
Can't Belinda just zoom in to put them in their places? I mean, she just knows how to bulldoze. Like,
is it that it's the juniors, so they view it like they're trying to be a little bit more tender in their analysis?
He could help us understand what some of the jumps are that the Georgian boy is doing, right? Like Maurice, like,
right.
The thing is, they want to be nice to the junior skaters, but if you identify the problems when they're in juniors, they have time to fix them, because then when they get to senior, everyone will tell you it's too late, right? Here's the thing in skating: if you offer advice or criticism when someone's young, like when I said Kurt Kageto has amazing talent and personality and character, but needs to work on the crossovers, people will be like, no, don't say that. He'll mature and grow into it.
Not if he doesn't know what to do. Yeah.
As soon as they get into senior,
it's too late. Yeah.
But you say it when they're young, you're mean. That's how skating works. Listen, it's the one thing where they want the attention of a sport, but they don't want it treated like a sport.
But you can say it kindly. The problem with some of that kind of commentary, not necessarily Mark, obviously, but like, if everyone is great and everyone is lovely and everyone's doing a really good job, why are there scores that are so drastically different? And one
off camera, Mark is the most critical. Okay, the most. Okay,
he really sees that, and I find
his free leg. Anyone who has a free leg like that knows it. They didn't get a free leg like that by accident. Okay,
right. I agree.
Look at the point of his toe.
Yeah. Because in my opinion,
Jonathan, that didn't just happen. He's not unaware. he worked his butt off to get it.
Yeah, and share some of that. Like, that's interesting to me, like watching Jia win the Junior Grand Prix. Again, like, there were opening bits when I wish it had more Mark Henry choke point going on, because I think it would enhance her program immensely. But then they choose to.
I didn't feel like he was offering that to the people in Sheffield when we watched the show on Freeze. I didn't feel like that was getting passed down enough, but maybe they didn't have the ability. I don't know. All right. I felt it was less painful watching Ilia Malinin compete here than last season. I'm not saying it was my taste.
But he can only do so much. So I felt this.
I saw improvement. I saw an improvement. The costumes were much better because they were ugly as sin in both programs last season. I don't know which one I hated more. I thought he looked more professional. I thought, yeah, it was better. It was better. And I got the idea because Succession was such a hot series that they went with it. I don't know that the music is that musical, but
or that it evokes the feeling of Succession to me. But you know what I liked is that they're throwing in, like, he did this, like, I don't know even how to describe it with the correct terminology. Almost does this like death drop butterfly thing.
Full twisting butterfly, kind of, they're calling it, yeah.
Oh my gosh. I was like, yes, you are very physically talented, and that counts. Do more interesting moves like that. And you are holding my interest. And I don't know if by not putting in the quad axel and stuff like that helped create a different kind of calm for him. I thought it was a smart move to have sort of lightened the load technically in a field where he did not need that, and sort of drive home this point of real skating and a nicer program.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought overall, Kevin. I think Kevin's problems, I imagine his emotional personality could inhibit the consistent run-throughs with the same content every day. Is what it looks like, right? Yeah. He has all of the ability, and when he believes in it and can train it, it will really translate over. Unfortunately, again, I don't think he should have competed that early. Kevin's one of those skaters that almost can't make mistakes because we expect him to, and he's coming off such a brilliant end to last season, right? With those free skates, and we were like on Worlds and World Team Trophy, and he was doing so well. And then first jumping pass, and he pops the double. Also, Gilles had a great pop into the double with the fall in her butt. Like, that was a comedic fall. A comedic fall. We all have them. You all get them. She had one. Okay. That was her. Okay.
I do believe that even though it's Bolero and blah, 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 I think if the stars all align at one point when he's able to do that, it could be a pretty iconic moment.
All right.
I think it has the potential to be
deserving judgment. It's not my favorite.
Okay. I see its potential.
Yes. I just want to see more of a difference between the short and the long from him. I think that he has such a wide variety of things that he can do. I'd actually like to see more pointed, stretched lines and a little bit more emphasis on the skating skills, which I think he has the ability to do, but he often like rushes. But I think he has the ability to add a little more Paul Wiley to his program. Like, he does this move where he does a back spiral and then he crunches the leg. But I think he could just do a beautiful back spiral, and I think it would actually make him look more senior, more grand dame-ish, and it would offer something that, listen, Yuma Kageyama doesn't have great presentation. He's got wonderful knees, wonderful mechanics, but he doesn't have great presentation yet. Kevin
gets the audience in a totally different way. Right. Yeah.
But when you're only doing modern movements with bent legs, it does make me think you can't do this stretch. I think he can do this stretch.
Yeah.
I think he could give you classic line if Sylvia willed it out of him. And she seems
the willful type.
Passionate, Italian, right?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, I think he can do it. And I think free better than the short. And yeah, Gogolev was Gogolev.
Yeah, checking Gogolev here, checks notes, 7 feet tall now. I was like, oh my goodness. I mean, I was surprised he did the content he did.
Yeah.
obviously still very inconsistent. And this is another, like, don't pump him too soon. The way he was celebrated and touted and branded and all this sort of stuff, if Rod Black mentioned his age one more time, like,
Steven Gogolev,
can you believe this little kid? And I was like, this is not boding well for him. And I, at his point, wonder what he feels about all of this. I mean, again, the visual he's giving implies he is very much over it. Who knows if that's really what he's feeling on the inside? I just don't know what the end game is here.
I think when people win young, I was talking to someone about this, and I've felt this with different athletes. There are skaters who become addicted to winning, and figure skating is their vehicle, like an Evan Lysacek.
Right.
And then there are those who really have the passion for skating, which is like a Dorothy Hamill, right? Which one is Gogolev?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
So when someone has a passion for winning and then they grow, it really seems almost vacant, because if you don't love the art form, how are you going to like struggle and still
find it worth it? Yeah.
And soulful and something. And yeah, so I don't know. So, and maybe he does love skating, but we don't see it, right? But I'm not getting that. And I think that the more musical types tend to be the people that have the love of skating more than, and maybe he just has a love of jumping, right? But that's different than skating, in my opinion.
And also not really happening for him at the moment.
Yeah. So, but we see it a lot, and it's not just him, it's tons of athletes. Okay.
Yeah. Even
tons of athletes in tons of sports, like you see this. Yeah.
And we don't know why Boyan Jin is still competing. Also, there's another curious case. It's been a long career at a very high level with very, very demanding technical content.
Yeah, and diminished returns on the results, right? I don't get it, but not for us to figure out today. That's not our pay grade. That's like, oh, he's still here.
Yeah.
Okay. Ms. Deanna.
Big weekend for her.
I thought his costume even better than hers in the short.
Remind me what those were. I'm remembering the Dracula costume.
It was the balloon. And he had
yeah, that's right.
Looked stunning. Their elements look fantastic. And in the free, she landed both of her problem elements. You know that if she's going to make mistakes, typically it's going to happen.
Saukow? Yeah.
And she often will like step out of the throw loop in competition, but not in practice from people who watch her, which makes the thing that she just needs to like relax and it'll come and she'll get the swoosh. Sometimes I think that the opening, adding the double axles, I could see that taking a couple competitions just to like really get.
You saw her sort of almost waffle for a second when she was.
We see that with 99.99999% of the people that are going to do that element you're going to see a single axle here and there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is why it's difficult and worth points. So I thought that they looked really great. I thought the ending of the lift to the thing was fantastic in the program. He has the costume reveal.
And the Dracula program, like, it was just enough. Or vampire program, I don't know what they're calling it. It was just enough without being a caricature of one.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was well curated that way.
And they're definitely like, it's their performance with the music that makes it. It's not like the music is carrying them.
They feel that music, like you sense. Like it's as if their movement inspires the music to happen, which of course is what you want for everyone. But also talking about reveals, back in Russia, we had several. One was where Chuchimisheva like sort of like pulled that blood out, and it kind of had like a tapeworm connotation to me. And then there was another one where Mark was doing that bullfighter program, which I did enjoy, and then it just got a little over the top when he like revealed the red at the end. But yeah, a lot of that happening again. And I was like, I thought we had moved past this as a sport.
Olivia Smart on the cell phone. You hate it. I mean,
I can't. I can't.
Apparently her partnerships in the Twizzles, this is always going to keep us on the edge of our seat. Okay, because, you know, when we first thought it was okay the first time, I felt like we were back with Adria here. We weren't like tucking the leg and grabbing it, but I was stressed. Okay.
Yeah.
But I had a question. Like, I have a question. Marie-France and 50 teams, and how creative can you be with all of this stuff, right?
Especially when one is new. I mean,
a lot of people come to her with ideas, right? So the deal is, I've always heard this. Because remember, like Hubble and Donahue would always come with those great ideas for their programs. Remember, like when they were like, the world loved them for their blues, so then they decided to try to like be soft and pretty and do Romeo and Juliet, and we were like,
no, that wasn't what we meant. Yeah.
We liked you as the edgy team, right? Yeah. But like if you pay extra, if she's gonna do all the research and the brilliance and all of that. How did Kaori wind up doing Feeling Good and Olivia Smart wind up doing Fever? And why does it make me feel like that groan in my stomach for both?
Yeah.
Is that just because this is like a second year of the cycle? Like, this is a first year team. When I heard the music, I just was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
The same with like the rapping part of Blondie in the rhythm dances. I love the beginning, and then we get into that part, and it almost sounds like Eminem. Two trailer park girls go around the outside. Yeah.
And in the free dance, he really gives like some Quentin Tarantino vibes. Yeah. I was like,
this is an interesting team, and there's nothing like I want to be interested when I watch. I don't want to see pleasant. I don't want to see anyone that you think is going to be like, Tanya Kwiatkowski is a hard worker, and it's her 12th trip to the Nationals. Like, you're like...
That was sort of how the Peyton By material reads. A bit more Tanya Kwiatkowski.
You don't say. You don't say.
But right? I like that as a term.
You know, when they start being like, and she goes to college and is doing yeoman service to skating, when they never compliment your actual skating. No. Pay attention to like the commentators.
Yeah.
I think that Hannah Lim has a lot of talent. I don't know that this team with this material is gelling quite yet. Maybe the Prince, I don't know. Olivia Smart, she has such personality and such a free leg and such potential. I do think that it's going to take time for this team.
Can I say something really probably unpopular here? Do you remember when we were covering the Sochi Olympics damn near a decade ago, and shortly after, Ottavia Cinquanta was like, oh, what if we get rid of the program? And we're all like, what are you, ridiculous, da-da-da-da-da. And then like somehow logistically, you're like, well, I guess if you didn't know and love skating, you would think that was possible. We're getting damn near to me saying like, why don't we just get rid of the rhythm dance? If there's going to be a pattern that's required in the free dance, like this rhythm dance category is just spiraling out of control for me.
And they went, Jonathan, I have an 80s playlist with so much interesting music on it. These choices are just...
It's not it. And then trying to be like a dance TV show or something. I'm like...
They all love Footloose. They all love it, right? Oh my God.
Not it. It's become a real burden to have to watch the rhythm dances for me.
Yeah.
So, and I don't want that. There are some good teams, and I was like, then maybe the ISU could be like, whoops, our bad. We'll just cut the rhythm dance this season.
People were literally blowing up my phone about ACI, and I was like, I'm watching Sandra and this lesbian comedian, and I'm much more satisfied.
Yeah, I'm occupied with much more interesting things at the moment. Ladies and gentlemen. Yeah.
Like, actually, yes. Yeah. It invoked everything we loved about skating.
Which is not a 1980s rhythm dance.
Sandra throws so much shade where, like, when they're trying to choreograph, she keeps trying to, like, because she wants to choreograph for a pair team, and she keeps being like, well, the ice dancers are much more emotive. You know, pairs right now, they're more technical. You know exactly what she means. Skating now, it's more technical.
Yeah, it's about the complexities, not the beauty. Yeah.
Yeah, not wrong. Okay. And I think Deanna still has some of the beauty, and that's why we love her, and that's why we're like, yes,
She's
Yeah.
the only one that grew up in a 6-0 system. She probably did figures back in the
Look at
day.
her hands in the lift on the photos. I mean,
Right.
yeah,
The
yes.
position in the lifts. I mean, just lovely. Just lovely. Old school in the best of ways.
Balaj and Chelsea looked better in the short than in the free. The free, I mean, she got hurt at Champs Camp, and we could tell. I don't. They should have withdrawn after the short. I don't know if we thought we were going to get points for this outing, but we didn't. Gotta be in the top 5. That was not it.
And my boy Nick Nadeau, he looks good as a Paris partner. And fascinating because, of course, he jumps the opposite way and found a partner that does as well.
Yeah.
So at first I thought I couldn't remember. And I was like, oh gosh, are they doing the Rudy Christie mirroring thing? But, you know.
Audrey Shin also cheated her jumps much better in the short than she's been working. So Tammy puts her in the kiss and cry, but everybody knows that she's really training with Ilia Malinin.
Right.
And with the mother, right? Remember, everyone goes,
Health, yeah.
describes her as a Nina Petrenko type.
Yeah.
Yes, right. Okay. The interesting thing, again, about Shin, where we talked about where you need to correct the things young, otherwise it can't be corrected, is that she doesn't just have a wrap. This is just a fact. She has legs that go like that in the air. You can't get it around.
Yeah.
You just can't get the jump around. And like,
cannot happen. Yeah.
and like you want the Nancy Kerrigan heel toe in the air. That's the ideal. Nancy had a gorgeous heel toe position. You might not think she was the most musical. Watch her feet in the air on the jumps. It is like ideal. Audrey Shin doesn't have it.
Yeah.
And until she can fix those feet, I don't think she's going to get the jumps as cleanly, consistently as she wants to.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like more of the same.
Right. Again, you know, as much as Sambo 70 is a formula, so is that.
But
Right
I
down
tell you,
to James Bond. Yeah.
speaking of people being exhausted, I didn't see much of a difference between Kaori and Valieva, besides the fact that Valieva is not natural, right? Kaori
landed triples at the test skates.
Kaori's just look so uninspired. Both.
I don't know why she feels the need to do so much competing right now.
And it seems labored, right? Like just exhausted.
So let her rest and train. There's no reason she had to travel all the way to Canada to do the Autumn Classic. I don't understand what the point of that is.
It literally looks like she's just ready to hand the title to like Yellen because she looks exhausted.
Yeah, I bet Yellen would happily accept it.
Or high-end, what, you know, it just, she looks exhausted. I don't know, like it's just, I can't describe it. It's just like reading her body language, and the programs are not lifting her up after she was so brilliant last year. It's again, it's almost like because Russia isn't competing, she has like a victory lap to do another year and keep going when maybe you wouldn't have.
So why be out putting out all of these sort of tired-ish looking programs at the start of the season? You can wait till the Grand Prix. I would think she's not someone who needs a million pancakes to feel confident, I wouldn't think. It sort of perplexes me why she's even trying. I'm sure she's tired, so take that rest. Autumn Classic doesn't need to happen for her.
Why do they show the full programs in Japan in July? Why are you doing that? You're world champion. Like, and if you get enough shows, like, you need to do every one. Like, she looks exhausted.
Yeah. And it's understandable, but what's just perplexing to me is why then you need to force such an early start.
Also, they told us that Hanyu was married, and they said it's just rumors. And like, my response is, who cares?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, then someone was saying, and of course, this is always so hard. They were like, something about the way it was worded, if you actually spoke Japanese, it was like a marriage to his craft or something. There was like a great deal of confusion what that really meant. Remember when Dennis Rodman got married and it was like to himself in St. Patrick's Cathedral? It was this thing.
I remember when he wore the wedding dress.
Yeah, because he
All
married.
I care about Yuzuru Hanyu recreating the short program warm-up on his Disney special was very special.
Yeah, that we're interested in. Yeah.
If he's married to the violinist, great. good for you. We weren't invited. We don't know them as a couple. Really, like, I don't know. You know, whatever happens, his fans are going to be like,
right. And whatever anyone says about it, it will be like he needs their protection. Yeah.
a wedding photo, great. Good
Then-
for you.
Yeah. Where are you registered?
I don't know anyone that says that they're going to get married, but they don't tell us the wife, and then they don't do it. Like, it's like, this is like social media baiting, as far as I'm concerned. Okay.
Right.
We see less baiting behavior on the Real Housewives than that. Right. I'm sorry. I just like.
Yeah. But why did that resurface? Because the news has changed.
Well, the woman is apparently a violinist, or the person that's rumored to be the wife is a violinist, and 8 years old.
Came out recently. Okay. Okay. Great.
Great.
2 artists. Lovely.
Lovely. Maybe he'll have more interesting music in the future.
Sibelius violin concerto.
Yes, why not? She could play it. He could do it.
Right?
He's one of the show is expanding. Listen, yes, okay.
Remember, didn't he already do a program where he pantomimed the violin?
Well, Rudy Galindo sure did. Okay.
Oh my gosh! To this day, one of like the funnier moments. You know what? But I was okay for as this is a little much for me. On the arm. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. That was fun. And then, of course, in every like BuzzFeed thing that's like worst figure skating costume fails ever, it's always that girl that has the violin on her back, and it like comes together right where like her bum is. It's an unfortunate moment, and she's doing a sit spin. I highly recommend doing a Google image search.
They can't help themselves in current skating. It's.
Yeah, I mean,
what has happened to the sport? It's all Kostornaia with the
topsy turvy. Yeah.
I know, when Lindsay pulled out right when we were going to see the Sandra Short program, she pulled out.
And you know what? Maybe it was a smart move, in which I applaud her. Wait till that thing is gonna like just hit us big. Wait for the right moment.
But this, are we ever gonna see it? Jonathan, she had 2 competitions where we could be giving Lindsay props. And you know, she's not like US figure skating's like person that they're like propping up, right? I'm sorry, no one can buy the $20, $40 video at the Charleston competition and post it. Like, learn how to get buzz, people. Learn how to get it together, right? Yeah. Then she's in Boston at the competition that isn't broadcast. Again, they don't buy the video.
Yeah.
Well, we can't promote the skater for you, okay? If you don't have it together, if you are not smart enough to buy the video and post the skater there, we can't help you out.
Yeah.
You just have to help yourself. If a tree falls in the forest and no one is there,
and you have to pay to hear it.
Yes. Like, you know, the problem is that people in, you know, like a lot of the skating coaches, you know, they weren't in those like honors and AP classes where you had to slit each other's throats to beat the person next to you. They just weren't. They don't get it, right? Jonathan, how many people did you have to side eye and intensify in like auditions for Curtis? Okay.
Oh yeah, well, you know what it was? Mine was like an overconfidently, I don't even care about this smile and I'm about to win it anyway sort of approach.
You couldn't just switch countries to Austria because they had a vacancy to get in. You had to fight to the death. Okay. And that's where these figure skaters like lose the plot. Okay.
Yeah.
Although I do think we should send Kostornaia to Hungary because listen, okay. The sport obviously needs her.
And she does have something still to
offer. Bruno wants to give the Japanese Sweet Caroline, of course, you know, the free is Celine. It's a tribute to his dad, of course.
I like them so much, both the team and the coaching team, but
they're either going to do some violin music or U2 as of today. I was like, great.
Just like, why don't you turn on like a couple of music stations and just see what you see? Maybe there's something you don't already know that you can find.
First, he told me Seal. I'm like, what's with you and Seal? Megan and Eric did Seal. Heidi Klum. What is going on? I don't.
Tour era. What about now? Or what about, I don't know. I don't know why they're so adverse to trying anything classical. But Megan has always said that. She's been like, you know, and then everyone's skating to classical music and they don't connect with it. I was like, I don't hear any classical music ever. You write down who is skating to what. I can guarantee you it's like 5% classical,
Most of Megan's music wound up being good for her, which is interesting. Like the Adele.
That's important. Yeah. Yeah. But I think the Japanese team could pull it off. Something effervescent. That's what I want from them. And I don't consider Sweet Caroline effervescent.
I mean, it's like a bar song, right? I mean, it's you play it at the
like a cringe bar song.
The Bo Sox, they play it, right?
American Pie not available. Ugh.
Or the Chevy to the levee. I mean, come on. I just can't. You can't buy taste. You can't buy taste. Oh man, yeah, it was like quite a week. There was a lot of skating, but at least Mao Shimada's free skate, gorgeous. Short program. I would, maybe Ottavio was right about that. That program.
Yeah.
Jonathan.
I know.
Along with her quad that is no longer remotely close.
Yeah.
The short program in the quad can be retired.
Yeah. Because the triple axel was working nicely.
She's skating to Gaga and dressing like she's in Pirates of the Caribbean. Like, what?
And that's when you realize, because
I thought the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial was like not positive. Like maybe Pirates of the Caribbean could go.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when we first met Mia Hamada, or at least I did, or was introduced to her as a figure during the Satoko years, and I thought, oh, maybe for all I know, between her and Marin Honda, maybe Hamada is the reason for some of this gorgeous skating skills and stuff like that. It would seem with Mao that maybe they need some extra outside help to sort of drive that point home, because I think she can be elegant. It is just so glaringly almost finished, a lot of those
positions. Is lovely, and it could be a little better, but it's interesting when you see the difference in the costume in the short and the free. Notice that her posture is not there in the short, and it's something about the suspenders and the button-down white.
Okay.
The line is, quote Michael Shanley, where is the line? Where is the line? Okay, the posture is just not.
Yeah. Okay.
It wasn't there. I was upset. We loved her last year.
Yeah.
The free is very nice.
And she still stands to inherit the lot this year, I would think. I know, Jia Shin doing some lovely stuff, but I think it still seems Mao's to lose.
What was your moment of the week?
Oh, gosh. I should have thought of this. Go with me on this. I enjoyed Mark's short program. Why not?
We love that for you. You do you. You own that. Okay.
Own it. Hair is all poofy and out of control like mine is at the moment, so I'll take it.
I know people are going to say Mao Shimada's free skate, and I have to tell you, I have nothing. Canada will agree.
Okay.
And
in a few weeks, I may feel the same. Yeah.
Or whenever it's in the US, you may feel the same, but let me tell you, well, hopefully Canada will. Do you think they're too nice to leak it in Canada?
We're going to find out.
Those shady Canadians. They would keep it to themselves, wouldn't they?
Hoard it, yeah.
They would love to have it over the US.
Yeah, that's right.
You talk about how great it is, right? Oh my God. Imagine if they had Downton Abbey first. Remember how the British got it like 4 months before the rest of us?
Right. I used to download it from these
every week to download Downton Abbey. I did not care. Okay. It's great. So good. Hold it, it looks sexy, everyone. Bye.